This week on the Ocho Points Podcast, I go 2 for 6 on my Oscar nominations. Patricia Arquette gets me a little angry. Spring training hasn't even started, and a key player on my favorite team is already out 3 months due to injury. And an ugly dress sets Twitter ablaze. Let's get things started. That's right, folks. We have music this week. This is supposed to be royalty-free music, and I guess I will find out quickly enough whether or not that is actually true. If it's not royalty-free music, I'm sure I will get a cease and desist letter from somebody telling me I can no longer use it. But for now, we have music. Now, before I get things started this week, with this being only my second show, obviously I don't have sponsors, and I'm basically only doing this for fun. I don't get paid for doing this. Having said that, everyone likes to get a little bit of extra income. So, what I am going to do is I am going to self-promote myself. So, today's show is brought to you by a t-shirt that I've designed and which is available on Teespring until March the 4th, Wednesday, March 4th at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Check it out and pick it up by going to teespring.com/needlove. It is a women's only shirt, so guys, I'm sorry I don't have a shirt for you this week, but by next week I should have a design for the guys to check out as well. Once again, the address you can find that at is teespring.com/needlove. I will try to post a link somewhere. I'm trying to get this podcast up on iTunes. Right now I am making it available through YouTube, so I will post some links to the t-shirt on my YouTube channel underneath the video for this podcast. As I said at the top of the show, I went 2 for 6 in my Oscar picks this week. I got Best Animated Picture, which went to Big Hero 6, and I had J.K. Simmons winning the Best Supporting Actor Oscar. All my other picks went to shit, and I will say I was honestly surprised Patricia Arquette won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. As I said last week when I was making my picks, I hadn't really seen any of the nominated films other than The Imitation Game, but there you go, she ended up winning, and Patricia took the opportunity, as so many people have done in recent years, to turn her speech into a political one, going off on wage inequality between men and women in America. Right away, this set off a wave of anger in me, as I saw great irony in the fact that this woman who was making hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, just to do 3, 4, 5 months worth of work on a movie, is complaining about wage inequality. You know, all the women there are wearing dresses that most women in the United States cannot afford, even though a lot of them are working 3 jobs just to get by in life. So it just pissed me off when Patricia Arquette went on the tangent that she did. I don't know much about fashion or how much designer dresses cost. I heard that there were some dresses that actresses were wearing that cost upwards of $100,000. That's insane. I don't know what Patricia Arquette's dress costs, but for argument's sake, let's say it's in the $100,000 price range. Even if it's not, I can guarantee you it's still more expensive than anything that the average American woman can afford, and yet Patricia Arquette is complaining about wage inequality? How about wage inequality between celebrities that we put up on a pedestal and the common Joe? Like I said, the people that have to work 3 jobs just to get by and support their families because there's not enough hours or not enough pay at the jobs that they work. Let's talk about wage inequality between CEOs and the common employee at stores like McDonald's or retail chains or anything like that. It's ridiculous. CEOs making millions of dollars in the United States, and their employees that work in their stores are barely scrapping by on minimum wage and low hours. Listen, I congratulate anyone that makes it in life and makes millions of dollars. That doesn't come easy. That does take hard work as well. But to try and act self-righteous at the Academy Awards talking about wage inequality when the gap between the rich and the poor is so extravagant. What about the fact that the 8 movies that were nominated for Best Picture, just the 8 movies that were nominated for Best Picture going into Oscar weekend had made roughly a combined $910 million. That's not even including other movies from last year like Guardians of the Galaxy and the Lego movie, which I believe both made over $100 million each. Hollywood is roughly a $2 to $3 billion industry per year, if not more. And you're going to have actors and actresses talk about wage inequality. The amount of money that Hollywood collectively makes in a year can end world hunger and poverty, and yet you want to complain about wage inequality between actors and actresses. It's ridiculous. So, Patricia Arquette, just shut up. Just accept your self-congratulatory backslapping award. Shut up, thank the people that you love in your life, and get off the stage. Stop making these award shows a reason to have political debate. Political debate is important, but a lot of these actors and actresses, when they politicize their victory speeches, just come out sounding like douchebags to me. Anyways, that's my rant on Patricia Arquette. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, another big story from this past week, at least where I live in Toronto, was the discovery of a mystery tunnel near York University tennis courts. It was discovered this week that a very sophisticated underground tunnel has been dug in the woods near York University tennis courts where the Rogers Cup usually takes place in the summer. And no one really knows yet why it's there or who dug it. And of course, immediately right away, a lot of the news outlets were sort of saying it might be a terrorist attack. They didn't come right out and say it might be a terrorist attack, but they implied it by saying it was dug right near the site of a 2015 Pan American Games location. And listen, from the get-go, I had no reason to believe that this was a terrorist plot, but it is still a tunnel of mystery right now, and it's somewhat unfortunate that it's been discovered because obviously now it's blockaded and closed to the public. The police are going to be guarding it, and that's a little bit of a shame because anytime you get a tunnel like that, there are people like myself that are sort of interested and want to go down and actually see it for ourselves, but with the police presence, that's going to be completely out of the question. So I'm waiting to see how this story develops. It did come out that they found a poppy and a rosary down in the tunnel, so I'm not really sure what was going on in there. The mystery continues. As I said, I really, really wish I could go there and check it out for myself and just wander around and explore it, but the police presence there is going to preclude me from doing so. Hopefully within the next week or so, the police will have some more answers and we will get some kind of answer as to what this tunnel was built for. Until then, however, it's gonna be fun to speculate a little bit. Moving on to the world of sports, baseball season is right around the corner. Spring training games are about to start this upcoming week, and my beloved team, the Toronto Blue Jays, have already lost a key player for 3 months. Michael Saunders, who the Jays acquired in the offseason as part of a deal which sent Jay Happ to the Mariners, was scheduled to be the Blue Jays' everyday left fielder this year. It was going to be great. Michael's had a couple of injury-riddled seasons the past couple of years, but he was looking to come back stronger. He is a Canadian boy playing for the only Canadian baseball team in the major leagues, so a lot of people were excited about that. I think Michael was excited about that. Unfortunately, from my understanding, Michael tripped on an uncovered, unprotected sprinkler head and tore his meniscus. He is now expected to be out at least 3 months, so Blue Jays fans won't get a chance to see Michael Saunders play until at least the All-Star break. Hopefully a little sooner. We certainly wish Michael Saunders a speedy recovery. It's just frustrating to be a Jays fan. We haven't made the playoffs since 1993. We're in a 22-year playoff drought. It's the longest active playoff drought in the major leagues. So it's been hard to be a Blue Jays fan for the last couple of decades. I was lucky enough to be young, but still old enough to witness their championship run in 92-93. I was born in 84. They made their first playoff appearance in 85. I was raised on Blue Jays baseball. I was 7 and 8 years old respectively when they won the World Series, and when I was young, I was used to them winning. They were in the playoffs almost every year when I was a child, or they seemed to be, and when they weren't in the playoffs, they were at least fighting for a playoff position. And as a kid, you kind of expect that to go on forever, and then reality set in the last 2 decades as they've continuously missed the playoffs year after year. There is a bright side, though. After news of Saunders' injury, later in the day on Thursday, it was announced that the Toronto Blue Jays had signed former Cy Young Award winner Johan Santana. Now, Santana hasn't pitched in the major league since 2012, and as far as I know, he hasn't been offered a full major league contract. He's been signed to a minor league contract with an invite to spring training. I personally think Santana still has a little bit left in the tank. He's only 34 years old. I think he could be a surprise this year. I'm hoping he'll be a surprise. I'm hoping he'll be a contender for MLB's Comeback Player of the Year. That would be phenomenal to see Johan come back and have a great year for the Blue Jays. So a little bit of baseball and Jays talk for you. I know a lot of you out there, if you're not in Toronto, probably are not Blue Jays fans, so I apologize for that. But because I do live in Toronto, whenever I talk about baseball, it's probably more than likely going to be Blue Jays dominated. Sticking with sports for a minute, this weekend, this Saturday, February 28th, sees UFC 184 from Las Vegas. Now, originally the main event was supposed to be Vitor Belfort versus Chris Weidman for the middleweight title, and that got canceled due to an injury to Chris Weidman. That fight's now been moved to, I believe it was June. Off the top of my head, I can't remember when that fight's rescheduled for, but sometime in the summer, I want to say June. The original co-main event of UFC 184, Ronda Rousey versus Kat Zingano for the Bantamweight Championship, has now been moved to the main event for the night. The co-main event sees another women's bantamweight match with Raquel Pennington taking on Holly Holm. Most people have Holly Holm as the favorite in this one, and they think she's going to just destroy Raquel. I personally have not seen Raquel fight, so I can't really speak too much to that. I do, however, think that Ronda will defeat Kat Zingano and retain her women's bantamweight championship. Both women are undefeated going into this match, which makes it a little bit more interesting. But Ronda just seems completely unstoppable. I mean, there is a reason why she is the only fighter ranked in the top 10 for best pound-for-pound fighters in the UFC right now. Last time I checked, I believe she was ranked number 6. I'm going to go on to the UFC website right now and find out what her ranking is for pound-for-pound. So give me 1 second. Okay, so Ronda is actually ranked number 7 pound for pound. She is behind John Jones, Jose Aldo, Demetrius Johnson, Chris Weidman, Anthony Pettis, and Cain Velasquez. She is, however, ranked ahead of champions TJ Dillashaw and Robbie Lawler. And as I said, there's a reason why Ronda is the only female ranked in the top 10 for pound, because she is just, whether you like her as a person or not, Ronda is seemingly just an unstoppable force in women's MMA. I think this match with Kat might be her most competitive match. She's only been taken to the second round once, and that was by Miesha Tate. I think this fight will go to at least 2 rounds as well, might even go to 3 rounds, but I think Ronda is just going to be too much for Kat to handle. But it should be an interesting fight. I'm going to be watching it regardless, and I'm really looking forward to the Pennington home match on that card as well. Now, as mentioned, the women's division is taking the main stage at this event, as the women's fights are going to be the main event and the co-main, but it's going to be a huge weekend for women's mixed martial arts as well, as going down on Friday evening is Invicta FC 11. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Invicta FC, it is an all-women's MMA organization, and it's gained a lot of support, primarily through word of mouth on the internet, and thanks in large part to internet cartoon and YouTube sensation Tommy Toehold. Now, this podcast is being recorded before the Invicta FC fights take place. However, I do plan on watching those fights. It should be a good one. The main event consists of Cyborg versus Canadian Charmaine Tweet. It should be a really exciting matchup. If you don't get a chance to watch it live on Friday, and I doubt this podcast will be uploaded before the fights take place on Friday, if you have a UFC Fight Pass membership, you can always go back and rewatch the Invicta FC fights. If you don't have UFC Fight Pass, you can try it free for 2 weeks, and again, go into their fight archives, their live event archives, and rewatch the Invicta FC pay-per-view. Now, Thursday was a weird day for news this week, as first, the internet was abuzz when 2 llamas escaped and were on the loose, I believe, somewhere in Arizona. I can't remember exactly where it was because I didn't really pay too much attention to the story. I just know llamas were all over my Twitter timeline, and obviously there were a lot of memes that came about because of this. But anyways, 2 llamas got loose in, like I said, I believe it was Arizona, and it caused the internet to be abuzz all of Thursday afternoon. The llamas were eventually caught by lasso and returned to wherever it was where they belonged. Now, later in the evening on Thursday, some random picture of a dress started making its rounds on the internet. Now, from what I can understand, it was a social experiment to see what colors people saw in the dress. People either saw the dress as white and gold or blue and black. It was a social experiment that was posted by 2 women. I'm not sure what the purpose of actually I do know what the purpose of the social experiment was. Alright, so allegedly this was the purpose of the social experiment. This is a message that made the rounds on Twitter along with the picture of the dress, entitled "Behind the Mystery of the Dress. I'd like to thank everyone that took part in my sight test, which showed a picture of a white and gold or black and blue dress. Firstly, this was an experiment for myself and others in a bid to prove what we already thought and tested previously to be true. You will be surprised to know that the dress is actually white and gold. However, there is an explanation as to why some viewers are seeing black and blue. Scientists have proven that when there is a big event in your life that is having a negative effect on you, your sighting of colors may vary, and that is why some people are seeing black and blue. It's merely all down to emotions, and when the person seeing black and blue checks back another day, they might see the dress in white and gold because their mood has changed. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know if that was actually a message posted by the people doing this social experiment. Either way, it was stupid. It was such a pointless thing to do. I hate these little stupid internet social experiments. You see things all the time on Facebook and Twitter where people will post a sign that says, I'm posting this sign to show the effects, or to show how quickly something can spread across the internet. Please retweet, like, share, and comment where you are from, just to show how quickly things spread across the internet. These things are getting out of control. I hate these stupid online social experiments. If I want to take a fucking social experiment, I would walk into a psychiatrist's office and do a fucking ink blot test. These things are getting out of hand. Stop it, internet. Stop it. The dress was ugly as shit, and there's just no need to ruin my Thursday night with stupidity. I chose not to partake. I just mention it because it was newsworthy, and I'll just reiterate, I can't stand these stupid little online social experiments people do. It's just ridiculous and getting out of hand. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for me for this week. So I want to thank all of you that listen to this. I want to thank all of you that listen to my first podcast. I apparently already have 6 subscribers to the podcast, which is phenomenal. So thank you to all those who subscribed. Once again, before I go, I am going to plug the shirt that I currently have available on Teespring. It is a women's shirt. It says "Love is all you need." You can check it out and buy it by going to teespring.com/needlove. Like I said, I will try to post a link to it somewhere. Thank you all for listening.